We're not learning throughout our lives. We're not growing. We're not making the impact on whatever it is we want to make our impact on at all.
So many times we think we're just catering to the customer, but the customer is more than the person who walks in the door and exchanges revenue with you.
I'm noticing that women don't have the level of stature in our field.
I think that we have to really look at treating our current employees and start there before we try to bring in new employees.
And if you don't like what that is, start changing that culture so that it is congruent.
Your customer are your employees, and if they are happy, they're going to tell. But if they are angry, they're going to tell a lot more people.
Ready to shatter the status quo and unleash your leadership potential? Sick of the same old tired leadership advice? Well, get ready to disrupt your thinking and transform your leadership skills. Welcome to Sound Leadership with DJ, the podcast that's about to challenge everything you thought you knew about leadership. Join DJ as he dives into the trenches with industry trailblazers, exploring the real issues leaders face today. From innovative strategies to proven techniques, we'll uncover the secrets to taking your leadership from good to great. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to conquer new heights. Join the movement and let's redefine leadership together. This is Sound Leadership with DJ. Leadership redefined.
And we're back with another exciting one. Welcome to Sound Leadership with DJ, the podcast dedicated to exploring the essence of leadership. Here, as you know, we're all about connecting you with visionary thinkers and trailblazers who have reshaped the landscape of leadership. See, every episode is a new adventure where we walk side by side with leaders who have achieved remarkable success. We'll trace their journey from humble beginnings to leadership prominence, uncovering the challenges they face and the wisdom they've collected along the way. In this episode, we are thrilled to feature my good friend, also fellow podcast host, check her out, Dana, who is a leadership and workforce solutions consultant, coach, and speaker who works with the senior living community and other aging service executives. Now, I know I said she works in the senior living community and with other aging service executives. Today, she's going to share with us the other venture that she's getting ready to launch. But she works with these organizations to improve their leadership around workforce. Dana focuses on driving retention, landing quality employees, and developing leaders to maximize unparalleled service and profit in their organization. See, with over 25 years of experience in the senior living space, Dana has proven herself as the go-to leader, the go-to coach, and the go-to consultant for all things leadership. She is a former nursing home administrator and is passionate about solving workforce problems in this space to create a sustainable future for everyone. So sit down as we talk candid with CEOs, entrepreneurs, community influencers, and so much more. They will be here to share their stories, strategies, and the pivotal moments that define their leadership journey. So whether you're refining your leadership skills or just starting out to carve your own path, Sound Leadership with DJ promises to have something for you. Now, before I bring Dana on, I need you to stay engaged. I need you to like us on all of the platforms. You can find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ. You can also find us on your favorite podcast platform. That includes Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ, and when you find us, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. Now, I want you to be prepared to embark on this journey of inspiration, empowerment, and transformation. Welcome to Sound Leadership. Hello, my good friend.
Hello, DJ. How are you?
Hey, I am okay. I'm so excited to have you. You are officially launching season 3 of Sound Leadership with DJ. So thank you for doing that for us. I really appreciate it.
You are very welcome. I'm very excited to be here.
Listen, I did that introduction, as I always start off, right? I did that introduction. It doesn't hold a candle to your years of experience as a leader, as a thought partner, as a coach, as you. So tell us who you really are.
Who I really am. Well,
Yes.
gosh, that's a great question to ask, actually. Who I really am is someone who is super excited and ready to help make change in people's lives. And when I say that, coming from aging services, like you said in my intro, I've been in the field for 25 years. Actually, it's been more because I started as a dietary aide
Wow.
when I was 15. So it's been quite a bit more. I just don't always put that on my resume because I don't want to age myself too much. but
I
but
get it. I
it's
understand.
a passion of mine. I
Yeah.
love older people. I love serving them. I love listening to them. I love learning from them. My whole life has been really wrapped around the whole idea of serving older people. And when I became a nursing home administrator, I loved doing it. I didn't like all the regulations and all the things that come with it. And I'm sure your audience is going, yep, I understand what she's saying. And then I had an opportunity to work for an association where I got to serve on a larger level. And I got to help the people who serve seniors. And I didn't realize how much I really enjoyed that because I was able to put into them and help them see their possibilities and their abilities and their worth to step up and serve older people. And that was one of my favorite things that I've ever done.
Wow.
And then now I have my own business running Weaver Solutions. And I have realized during my it's about 15 months old, the company.
Okay.
And over the past 15 months, I've realized not only do I have a lot to provide the aging field, but I also have a lot to provide other people like women. I'm noticing that women don't have the level of stature in our field and really in just about any field that I was hoping that we had achieved up to this point. I mean, in a
Mhm.
way, I kind of knew it, but I felt like once I got out into the big world outside of my little, that I would see something a little bit more progressive, and I really didn't. And so, not only do I still care about aging and want to help in any way I can, I also want to help women realize their worth and help them find their voice and help them to stand up to make bold moves in aging or any other industry that they're in.
You know what? I love it because to me, you walked us through your career and what you're doing now. But to me, those are true signs of a leader. It's knowing when to pivot and knowing when to evolve and not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone because that's when we fail the most. At least I've seen, at least that's where I've failed. It's when I've remained inside of my comfort zone and didn't pivot when I needed to pivot. So I've heard you say, right? One of the things you said is I've pivoted and now you're working to empower women to be their best selves. And I'm sure that wasn't an easy transition for you. You stepped out on your own. What was that like? From you went from the conference of, like you said, working for a large organization, working as an administrator, but you generally have a backing and a team. Stepping out on your own is brave. So talk to us about that.
Sure. Thank you for recognizing that. I have to tell you my story to help you understand where I got from there. So as I was working in the association, my next step was to be the president and CEO of the association I was working with. And I had applied for the job, and I think it was somewhat of a foregone conclusion that that was going to be my next step. That's what we all had expected. And there was another person that threw their hat in the ring that had a ton of successes and wins in an area of the association that was so important to our members. And when she threw her hat in the ring, I think that's what some of our members were like, you know what, we need this more than we need Dana's leadership. And so she got the job. And then it didn't make sense for me to stay there anymore because we had been
Yeah.
working together for so long. And so that was a scary time. And it also felt like I was kind of getting a divorce.
Wow.
And because I worked with some of those people for 20 years and they were my friends and my family. And there was a lot of mourning that went along with severing those relationships. Well, you don't have to sever the relationships. It's not a day-to-day thing where I used to get to spend day-to-day with them and do life with them. And so I kind of had to work through that. And then I was going to apply for other jobs. And I decided, you know what? I had a dream a few years ago before the pandemic that I wanted to go out on my own and serve as a consultant and as a leader and help other aging services providers. And I thought, why not do it now? This is the perfect time. I felt that God was leading me to it. And so I jumped out on my own, and it was very, very scary, to your question, getting there. It was scary because I didn't know what to expect. I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur. I knew about running an association, but not, an LLC. No idea how to get all that set up. And luckily I had fantastic people around me that connected me with the right people so that I could. And I also have my husband as a huge helper because he is just a genius when it comes to helping with video and YouTube and all of the things. So he's kind of my YouTube guy for my podcast. And he does a fantastic job with that. But otherwise, it is all me. And I have to make sure that I am investing in myself with coaches to help me put systems together and develop a solid foundation for my business so that I can go forward and I can scale.
It's interesting. One of the things that you said that I want to hone in on is the morning fact, right? Mm-hmm. Because as leaders, we have to make decisions and we have to live with those decisions. And with those decisions comes some wins and successes, euphoria. But there's also sometimes we make some decisions where we are like, is this what we should be doing? Did we make the right decision? And now we're mourning, right? And in your case, you mourn the loss of those relationships. Yeah. Through that, what did you learn about yourself that makes you now a better coach, a better mentor, a better leader? What did you learn?
Great question. I learned that I had let imposter syndrome hold me back.
For the people in the back, please repeat that and let them know what imposter syndrome is.
Sure. I let imposter syndrome hold me back from getting what I thought I wanted at the time. And what imposter syndrome is basically feeling like you're a fraud. You're in a room full of people and you hold yourself back and you don't speak up when you know you need to because you're afraid that people are going to look at you in a different way. They're going to think, well, what does she have to offer? Or my idea is better than hers, so I don't want to hear her idea. And over time, we've kind of been conditioned to hold ourselves back and not fully show who we are because corporate America wants us to fit in a box. And it's not just corporate America, it's all of us. We've got to fit in this box. And so if you feel like you go out of that box in any way, then you are going to want to shrink back if you really are worried about what other people think of you. And I let that happen. I let some experiences that I had keep me quiet. And so I would sit back when I needed to speak up. And I had been interviewing for that job for a year or so without realizing that I was interviewing for it. And I didn't speak up when I should have. And so when I look back over that, I think I should have spoken up, but I'm glad that I have the time to reflect on it. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to say, oh, I can see where I should have done better. Because in every situation, you can learn from it. And it doesn't matter. I don't really see things as failures per se, even though we say that a lot as entrepreneurs.
Well, listen, a fail, for the people in the back, that's my line. A fail is just a first attempt in learning. That's what a fail is. You're not failing if you're learning from the situation. Now, you failed if you continue to do the same exact thing. But if you learn from it and you grow from it, as you just outlined, how could that be a fail? How could that ever be a fail?
It is not. And I love how you put that into an acronym. I think I've heard that one other time, but it's been a long time. And your first attempt in, what was the L?
Learning.
Yeah. Yep. If we're not learning throughout our lives, we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're not making the impact on whatever it is we want to make our impact on at all, because we're shrinking back. We're letting imposter syndrome hold us back instead of going out there and just trying. And what I've also learned through all of that is you have to put one foot in front of the other, especially in business, but also in anything you're trying to do, any big change you're trying to make. For example, there's a lot of aging services providers out there right now trying to really hone in on what their workforce situation is and making sure that they are employers of choice, especially with the new regulations that are coming in. And what happens in those situations is we know we have to change, and we make a couple of steps into that change, and something goes wrong and we perceive ourselves as failing, and we don't learn from that to move on to get better. We let it hold us back and we go in a different direction. And that's human nature. That doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that you have to identify that you let it hold you back.
Yes.
And then step forward.
You've dropped so many nuggets in this 15 minutes we've been on this podcast. We've talked about the first attempt in learning. We've talked about you stepping out and hanging your own shingle because you believed in yourself, but you battered imposter syndrome. And that's a blog that I put out roughly, let's say, a month ago. You can check it out on my LinkedIn page, which I am at a servant leader on LinkedIn. Imposter syndrome prevented me from doing things that I wanted to do in life. One of them, starting this very podcast. It was what people listen. Could I get guests? Right? I love to talk. I'm engaging. I'm all of that. But I waited 5 years to start my podcast because I came up with every excuse. It was so bad one point I said, I ain't got a microphone. Microphone is $20 on Amazon. But I didn't start because of that. I found every reason to discredit myself and tell myself that I wasn't good enough. And it was a weird time because, generally speaking, I'm outgoing and people describe me as charismatic. I go for what I want. But with this podcast, I couldn't step out. I couldn't shake it. And it really took the pandemic and me moving to Hawaii and, frankly, not having a voice here on the island for me to say, you know what, I got something to say. So let me spend $20 on a mic. Let me find some software and let me say what I want to say. And now we are here in season 3, over 50 published podcasts to this point, which is crazy in the 2 years that we've been doing it. So I wanted to tell you, you're not alone with imposter syndrome. I'm sure the viewers and the listeners have dealt with imposter syndrome, and it's important that we own it, but we have to recognize that it is imposter syndrome. We have to recognize that we can be great and we can do anything that we set our mind to. And that is what you've shown us. So thank you. I really appreciate you for sharing that.
Sure.
I want to change gears a little bit because you talk a lot about workforce development. And I think that, I'm going to go out on a limb. And if I'm wrong, say something in the comments, but there's a shortage of staff.
What?
I don't know if you know.
I hadn't heard that one yet.
But you've come up with some programs and some solutions to kind of, turn your facility around and be the facility of choice or the workplace for the workplace of choice. So talk to us about what you do as a workplace expert to help improve the culture, increase retention. Hey, did you hit that like button yet? That subscribe button yet? Well, if you didn't hit it, that's how I get views. I need the views. Sound Leadership with DJ invites you to like and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. If you haven't, hit that bell, hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified of every single episode that we host here on Sound Leadership with DJ. Have you done it yet? All right, now back to this episode.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking it. I definitely feel like I go back to the essence of human nature and what it is that humans want. We've been through different eras in the workplace for a number of years. There was the Industrial Revolution, and then we had other revolutions and technology started taking over. And I think that when technology started taking over, and then we have this whole idea of AI coming at us and thinking, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over our work. That couldn't be farther from the truth in aging, because we need people to sit and care for the people that we're serving. And a robot isn't going to do that. A robot isn't going to be able to do everything that a human can do. And so when I actually go in and I work with an organization, I remind everybody that everybody in there are humans, and our basic needs are very important. And one of our basic needs is to be seen as an individual. And so I do a lot of work around seeing every single staff person as an individual. And we talk through what experiences are like for everybody at every step of either the hiring process or the experience. What if they've been there 5 years? What's their experience like as an employee? And a lot of us, and me included, I hadn't really looked at it from that perspective as much as I wish I would have in the past. Because, when you become a leader, when you become a manager, you have to hit these goals, and your job is to get your team to help you hit these goals. But as a manager, sometimes you feel like it just falls on you, and we forget about what motivates those people to help you get those goals. And so we first just peel everything back to the essence of the people. And then we talk about their whole system. So if I want to come work for you, what is the information that you're putting out about your organization on social media, on whatever platform that you're trying to recruit people from? What does it say? And is it something to just get people to click on so that they'll apply? Or is it telling the true essence of your company, your organization, and the experience they're going to get there? Because I don't know about you, and I'm kind of stealing this from someone, Layla Hormozi, who I just think this is brilliant from. How many times have you bought something that you've had buyer's remorse, and people work so hard to get you to buy something, and then as soon as you buy it, it's not even the same as what they were promoting before you actually paid the money?
Now I'm going to date myself. Are
Yeah.
you describing the S scene on TV commercial?
That could be one of them, yes.
It looks so good. It soaked up that water so well. And then they get the ShamWow home. I don't know if I said they get it home. And
that ShamWow does not work. Yes, that's what we're doing as employers when we're trying to put all that fluff out about our company. So the first thing that we're doing is lying to our potential workforce. And when they get there and they realize that that is not what they were sold, why would they want to stay?
Listen, I want to say something because this annoys me. I think of cell phone companies that do this, and It annoys me. And what you mentioned reminded me of a cell phone company, and I'm going to bring it back to you. What are we doing to retain the employees that we currently have? And I say that because I deal with it through cell phone companies, right? You can get a new iPhone 15 for being a new person, but I can be here 20 years and it's just, well, we already got your business. We're not going to do anything to keep or earn you. It doesn't apply to you. You're an existing employee or existing cell phone subscriber. So what you're saying is we need to really, what we've done to hire those employees, we need to continue to nurture to keep those employees. And I believe that is the basis of a relationship. When we look at the successful marriages, right, it's them continuing to work at the relationship. When we look at any successful partnership, it's that constant work at the partnership. What doesn't work is throwing pizza parties at it. That doesn't work. The staff are tired of pins. The staff are tired of bags. They're tired of pizza without extra toppings or something on it, but they're tired of the basics. What are you doing to continue to reconfirm your commitment to that staff? And I know as a leader myself, what I've done is I want to get to know the staff. How is your so-and-so? How are things going? If you need some time off, how can we work around to make sure the organization is covered, but also you're getting what you need? There's nothing more than an employee coming in and saying, I need to take time off because I need to go overseas, out of the country. I need to do this. And we're not allowing that, or we're not accommodating that for them. It's no secret, I'm a millennial. Here's the deal. When I put in PTO, that means prepare to others. I'm not going to be there. So you have to be ready for that person to say, hey, you know what? This ain't the job for me if we can't accommodate them, right? So we have to be accommodating of them. As a leader, I'm one to really just figure out a way to ensure that the current staff is happy, because when the current staff are happy, their customers, they're going to refer other staff.
It's true.
So many times we think we're just catering to the customer, but the customer is more than the person who walks in the door and exchanges revenue with you. Your customer are your employees, and if they are happy, they're going to tell. But if they are angry, they're going to tell a lot more people. So I want that customer to leave, because, and then also I want that customer, which is the employee, to come back in if they were to need care, service, whatever it is. So I think that we have to really look at how we're treating our current employees, and start there before we try to bring in new employees. Because what I see happening, and I think, please stop me when I'm wrong, we'll spend all this effort trying to get people through the door, but leave that back door open and people run right out that back door.
Amen. Yes, you're very right about that. And the reason, and I kind of want to loop it back to what I was saying, because the reason I told that story is because your retention starts in that moment. Your retention starts when they see your ad. And if they aren't experiencing that all the way through their hiring process, their onboarding process, and then when they actually start to do their job without all the help around them, if they're not experiencing all that, they're not going to want to stay. And that back door can be wide open if you're not focusing on that. But I love what you said about, the pizza parties, the basics. That stuff isn't going to cut it anymore, because that's not what motivates your team. And the best way to figure out what motivates your team, sit down.
Get from behind that desk. Leave from behind the desk.
Get out.
Who your employees are.
Get out from behind the desk and ask them. It's very simple. What motivates you, DJ, to do the job that you do?
If I'm honest right now, in this point of my life, it is my family. But you would have asked me a few years ago, I was chasing titles. See, it's no secret that I was chasing the leadership realm. I was, CNA, LPN, RN, BSN, MSN, DON, regional, VP, and then I got the chief administrative officer role. And then I got to that seat and realized it's not what I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
So what motivated me years ago is not the same thing. So if I'm looking at a job, it's going to be work-life balance for me now. It's not going to be titles no more. It's going to be my daughter, who is now 7, when she says, like, today I need to go to dance with her, I need to go to dance with her, because I'm never going to get that moment back. I'll always find a job. She's never going to be 7 again. So what motivates me now, an employer will have to ask to know that, because I don't just outwardly say. So you have to ask, and you have to get to know your employees. And that means, once again, coming from behind that desk.
Absolutely. And not having the distractions. This is something that I teach in leadership, and we talk about in workforce development trainings. And I'm starting to teach it to the women that I was talking about now. And that is one of the biggest pieces of communication is listening. And if you have something in front of you, like your phone, your computer, your desk, what have you, and somebody is trying to talk to you, that is a barrier. And you're not truly hearing what the person is trying to say. And it just could be that whatever the person is trying to say is exactly what you need to hear to make a big change in the organization, or enough of a change that people want to stay.
You talked about workforce retention starts at the place of ad. I agree with you 100%. But I, as an administrator and as a healthcare consultant now, I want to add some caveat, and I'm sure you're going to echo this. It starts from that ad. It also continues from when that person picks up that phone and makes that call to say, hey, we want to bring you into this building. Once that person arrives to this building, they're judging the outside of your building. When they come in, they want to know what's the environment. Are people saying, hello, welcome? Or are people walking around like, why are you here? You won't laugh. It then moves on when they go through HR. And I hate this the most, because we all have seen it. I don't care what field you work in. You get a paper application and it's been copied over 1,000 times. How am I supposed to write my information and trust that you're going to do this if you can't even maintain the application?
Right.
Just being factual. All that impacts the employee. I did a course that's available online. It's you can go to smkmedical.com and find that course. And I talk about the different stages of orientation, right? To me, right, you have that person coming in. They're between the first 30 days, they're trying to figure out, why am I here? Who's in charge? All of that. 30 to 60 days, they're starting to get their wings. Conflict may arise as they start to question things. And then at the 90-day point, they know if they want to stay or not, if they've made it to that point. They know if they want to stay or not. So, what always irks me is when people say, well, they knew what the money was when they applied, or they say, well, so-and-so left because they were getting more money. They didn't leave necessarily. I mean, unless it's a large raise, they didn't leave for 50 cents an hour. They left the environment. They fired the leader. They fired the manager. They couldn't stand that environment because nobody is leaving once again for 50 cents.
Absolutely. I think there are certain people who are motivated by money because they're trying to do better for their family. Just like you said, you want the work-life balance. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of research around we leave our direct supervisor. That is
Yes.
when we leave a company. And that tends to reflect on the top person of the company or the organization because they haven't set the systems in place for all of the people to follow and follow the values of the company and act in accordance to those so that you're providing an environment for the person to know what's expected of them, know who to ask questions to, and not get, well, why are you asking that question? And, this is, I'm sorry, I know that that's the right way to go, but that's not what we do here.
Oh, you
All of
listen. You said it. You hit a nerve. That's not what we do here. That should not come out of a leader's mouth. That should not come out of anyone's mouth. Because when I hear that's not what we're doing, that lets me know you're not innovative. You're not willing to think outside the box. This is how we do it. This is how we've always done it. We don't want to disturb the apple cart. Technology is here. You mentioned AI. AI is an added tool to help you. But if you don't know how to use it, it's just like the internet. It's not going to benefit you. So you should be embracing that. That's not how we do it. Now, I know we're almost at time. I want to ask you a few key questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
You're a workforce expert. What is 3 things that an organization can do right now to change their trajectory? What would you say?
Sure. So 3 things that they can do is invest in supervisory training because we said that they leave their direct supervisor. You want to invest in it early and often. So they don't get just one training, they need to get continual training. You need to take a look at your orientation program and make sure, just like we said, that it's congruent with what the experience is in the organization. And if you don't like what that is, start changing that culture so that it is congruent. And whatever words you used for that ad to get people there, you want to come in line with that, or at least find what's right for your culture. And then the other thing is leaders, the top people, the C-suite, whatever it is in your organization, if you are not investing in lifelong learning and your own supervisory training, your own leadership training, and trying to constantly get better, the rest of the organization isn't. And you can pick any one of those 3 that I just said and make a 1-degree shift in what you're doing, and you're going to change your trajectory. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, and it doesn't have to be, changing everything. Just 1 or 2 changes here and there can make a huge difference in where you're going in the future.
I love that statement of, just one of these. You don't even have to pick all 3. Just start with 1. Do something. If your organization is not a viable organization, I think the problem with organizations is we measure everything based on KPIs, but we don't know how to measure an employee feeling overworked or burnt out. That's not a KPI we know how to measure. We can measure when they quit, but we can't measure what led them up to quitting. They just stopped showing up or whatever. And it's oftentimes that the employee didn't just stop showing up. The signs were there. They came into your office and complained, and you didn't look up from your computer. Yeah. They said, we don't have the tools to do our job. How do you expect us to do your job? And you said, effectively and efficiently. You responded inappropriately. So, Dana, this was an amazing conversation. I'm going to definitely have to have you back. I appreciate you for taking time out to, be the face of our season 3 launch. How can people reach you and connect with you and book you and speak with you?
Well, I have my company, Weaver Solutions, and you can go to weaversolutionsllc.com, and that will take you to my website. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Dana Weaver or Weaver Solutions LLC. That's all. You can also connect that way. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, and all of it's at Weaver Solutions LLC. So if you know that, you can connect with me. And I just want to make a quick comment that when you go to my website, we were talking about imposter syndrome. I had the opportunity to do a training on imposter syndrome earlier this year. And so I created this book. It's a 60-day challenge that you can download for free. And it takes you through what's holding you back. Why do you have imposter syndrome, or what does it look like? How does it show up for you? And then you can work through that, and then it'll help you to figure out, okay, when is this showing up in my life? And then it'll have a challenge on how to identify it and how to get through it, get over it, come up with ideas to make it go away, basically, in the moment. So you can download that for free, and people have found a lot of benefit in it. The people that download it use it, and they get benefit out of it.
I love it, and I love everything that you're doing. I'll give a quick summary of how Dana came to this podcast. I met Dana at the ACHCA conference earlier this year, and we just connected right off the bat. I love all things leadership. She loves all things leadership, and it's just been a snowballing effect here. So her information will be in the bio of this podcast. I encourage you to go and download her book. I encourage you to speak with her, pick her brain, as she is an expert. As you guys know, I focus on all things leadership, and I want to bring you the best and the brightest in the field of leadership, and that's what we have Miss Dana here. So thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And to everyone else, thank you for embarking on this leadership exploration with us. Today's episode has been filled with insights, inspiration, and wisdom from Dana. If today's conversation sparked new ideals, inspired action, or simply left you wanting more, we invite you to connect with us and explore more at Sound Leadership with DJ. We also invite you to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. That's Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ and hit that like and subscribe button. As we part ways today, remember, leadership is a journey, not a destination. Keep striving to learn and grow, and never give up on your goals. You never know where those goals will take you. Remember, during this podcast, Dana stated 5 years ago, pre-COVID, she had a dream that she was going to own something, and look at her now, here conquering and crushing. So never give up on your goals. We're honored to be a part of your leadership voyage, and we eagerly anticipate welcoming you back here for more enriching content on Sound Leadership with DJ. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and remember, within Sound Leadership with DJ, you're always in good company.
Thanks for tuning into Sound Leadership with DJ. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. Share your favorite takeaways with a friend or colleague. Leave a review and let us know what you think. And remember, leadership is not just a title, it's a choice. Choose to lead with purpose, passion, and impact. See you on the next episode.